Well, a very blessed good day. The miracle on the Hudson. Everybody heard about it. Back in 2009, it happened. Captain Sullenberger successfully landed a fully loaded passenger jet on the Hudson River. All 155 passengers and crew survived. Now, it was a normal takeoff. Then the aircraft hit birds and lost thrust in both engines. In other words, that passenger jet became a glider. Captain Sully and his first officer had to think fast. Can they make it back to JFK or Teterboro? No, Captain Sully concluded, not enough altitude. They would crash into the skyscrapers dotting the New York City skyline. There was just one choice, the Hudson River. So Sully had to navigate that jetliner, adjusting the rate of descent and the speed so that they would be able to land in one piece instead of breaking apart into several pieces. He pulled it off. He called it a forced water landing rather than a crash landing. But you can call it whatever you want. A fully fueled and loaded jetliner landing on the Hudson in one piece without any power, without any loss of life, is nothing short of miraculous. It's a miracle. Miracles still happen today. Sometimes cancer just disappears from a CAT scan and the doctors can't explain it. Who knows how many times you and I have been saved from tragic accidents by the angels on the highway as we drive from here to there. Then there was that tornado that came across I-39 near Rochelle, Illinois. It picked up a Ford F-150, tossed it up in the air, turned it upside down, and then right side up. It placed it right back on the interstate, and the driver just kept on going as though nothing had happened. It's recorded on video. Miracles still occur, even today. But what about dead bodies being raised? Robert Ingersoll, the famous atheist of some decades ago, traveled widely across the country, lecturing to large groups of people. Well, at one time, he sought to show how Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead was just a trick. It was just a trick to bolster Jesus up. Lazarus was a good friend of Jesus, and he would pretend to have died and be dressed in grave clothes by his friends and secretly buried. And then as Jesus would pass by the grave some days later, he would give the clue by calling Lazarus's name. Lazarus would come out of the tomb, and everybody would think that Christ had performed a miracle, that he was really God. So to clinch his point, Ingersoll asked his audience, can anybody tell me why Jesus said, Lazarus, come forth? And an older Christian gentleman in the back of the group got up and he said, yes, I will tell you why my Lord said, Lazarus, come forth, because if he had not said Lazarus, he would have had the whole graveyard of Bethany coming out to him. Jesus also raised the widow's son at Nain in Luke 7, Jairus' daughter in Mark 5, and of course Lazarus in John 11. And as you know, Christ himself was raised from the dead. In the Old Testament, Elijah cried out to God and saw the widow's son restored to life in 1 Kings 17. Elisha also raised the Shunammite's son in 2 Kings 4. And there was this dead man? Yeah, some dead man, doesn't say who was revived when his body came into contact with Elisha's bones. Imagine that. And don't forget that after Jesus' crucifixion, the local tombs were opened and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised and were walking around town. Can you imagine the shock of the townspeople seeing a dead relative come to life? That's the miracle of the resurrection. Of course, those people were raised to die again. They would have to die again. But Jesus was raised not to die again. And by faith and trust in his merits, through his word and through the power of your baptism, you will be raised not to die again. In Isaiah 26:19, it says, your dead shall live, their bodies shall rise. Already in the Old Testament. Even the heathen believe in immortality. Cicero, the noted Roman writer, assures us that there's nothing so well established as belief in the immortality of the soul. He finds that the Greeks as well as the Romans placed lighted candles in the tombs of their departed dead. The Persians even left their graves partly open. But I don't know about you. I'm not going to take their word for it. I will instead take Christ's word for it when he once said to Martha concerning the raising of Lazarus, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And he who lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this? And Martha said, Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who is coming into the world. He has come, and he's coming again soon to raise your dead body to life. And if you're still living when he comes, he's going to give you a brand new body. It's going to happen. Jesus said so. He is God. He cannot go back on his word. Yes, miracles happen still today, from Sully landing his passenger jet safely on the Hudson to cancer disappearing and you're being saved from accidents and dangers. But the greatest miracle of all will be when God raises your dead body from the ashes of your grave to the eternal bliss that awaits you and me in eternity. Jesus said, because I live, you will live also. Yes, you will. And so will I. See you in eternity. Talk to you, God willing, next week.